Why it sucks to be born as a crows. The black-feathered masterminds of the sky. For centuries, they've been painted as symbols of mystery, death, or bad luck. They're smart, adaptable, and surprisingly social. Some even call them feathered primates because of their intelligence. But here's the twist. For all the brains and survival tricks crows have, being born as one is not the gift it seems. In fact, it kind of sucks. Yep, you heard that right. Today, we're breaking down exactly why it sucks to be born as a crow. Because while humans romanticize these blackbirds as symbols of wisdom, the reality is way less poetic. Try endless bullying, risky childhoods, constant hunger, and being despised by literally everyone, including humans. So grab your snacks, because this isn't just a story about a bird. It's the story of a life that looks cool on the outside, but is secretly brutal from the very first day. The birth of a crow, not so cute after all. Let's start at the very beginning. Imagine you're a crow chick. You hatch out of your egg in a messy little nest made of twigs, leaves, and whatever garbage your parents could scavenge from the nearest human neighborhood. The world greets you with hunger. Non-stop, desperate, belly-aching hunger. You're featherless, blind, helpless, and immediately locked in a survival competition with your brothers and sisters. Sounds like a cute family moment, right? Wrong. It's basically the Hunger Games, Nest Edition. Your siblings? They're not your friends. They're your first enemies. Everyone's fighting for food, and only the strongest, loudest chicks get fed by mom and dad. Sometimes the weakest chicks literally starve to death, ignored in the corner of the nest. So yeah, congratulations. You were born, but survival is not guaranteed. The birth of a crow, not so cute after all. Let's start at the very beginning. Imagine you're a crow chick. You hatch out of your egg in a messy little nest made of twigs, leaves, and whatever garbage your parents could scavenge from the nearest human neighborhood. The world greets you with hunger. Non-stop, desperate, belly-aching hunger. You're featherless, blind, helpless, and immediately locked in a survival competition with your brothers and sisters. Sounds like a cute family moment, right? Wrong. It's basically the Hunger Games, Nest Edition. Your siblings? They're not your friends. They're your first enemies. Everyone's fighting for food, and only the strongest, loudest chicks get fed by mom and dad. Sometimes the weakest chicks literally starve to death, ignored in the corner of the nest. So yeah, congratulations. You were born, but survival is not guaranteed. Nature doesn't care. And just when you think sibling rivalry is the worst of it, here comes nature itself. Crows nest in trees, poles, and rooftops, all very visible spots, which means predators are constantly watching. Hawks, owls, raccoons, snakes, even cats. They all want a piece of that sweet, defenseless crow chick meat. And here's the cold truth. Not every baby crow makes it out alive. Many nests are completely wiped out before the chicks even learn how to fly. That's right. Imagine being born only to end up as someone else's dinner before you even say your first caw. A reputation problem. Okay, let's say you do survive childhood. Great job. You finally fledge, stretch your wings, and get ready to explore the world. But there's another problem waiting for you. Everybody hates you. No, seriously. Crows are some of the most disliked birds on the planet. Farmers hate them because they steal crops. Other birds hate them because they raid nests. Humans think they're creepy, loud, or just plain annoying. Basically, your social reputation is trash before you even start your first solo flight. And if that wasn't enough, crows have been associated with death and bad omens for centuries. Ancient cultures looked at your sleek black feathers and eerie calls and thought, yeah, that's a messenger from the underworld. So not only are you disliked by actual animals, but even mythology has decided you're the bad guy. Food struggles. Sure, you're smart. You can use tools, remember faces, and even recognize traffic lights. But intelligence doesn't always put food on the table. Crows spend most of their lives scavenging for scraps. Garbage, roadkill, leftovers, or the occasional stolen sandwich. That's right, You're basically living the diet of a broke college student. And while adaptability sounds cool, the reality is a daily grind of searching, stealing, and competing for calories. It's not glamorous, it's survival. The curse of being smart. Now here's where things get even darker. Crows are ridiculously intelligent, like top-tier animal IQ. They can solve puzzles, remember human faces, and even plan ahead. But that intelligence comes with a curse. Crows can recognize danger and remember trauma. They don't just feel pain in the moment, they carry it with them. That means a crow can literally spend its life remembering how a human once scared it, or how it lost a sibling, or how it got chased by a hawk. In other words, they suffer from the curse of awareness. Ignorance might be bliss for most animals, but for crows, intelligence means more stress, more anxiety, and more psychological baggage. Life expectancy. Not what you think now. You might think, well, crows are tough survivors, so they must live long, fulfilling lives. Not exactly. Yes, crows can live up to 15 to 20 years in the wild, but most don't make it anywhere near that. Many die young from predators, disease, or human activity. Cars, poisons, shootings, electrocution on power lines. The list goes on. So while humans like to imagine crows as wise old sages sitting on fence posts, the average crow is just trying to make it to next week without getting flattened on the highway. The double life of a crow. And here's the final kicker. Humans think crows are mysterious geniuses, but crows themselves? They're just trying to survive. They don't get to enjoy the mythology around them. They don't sit around thinking, wow, humans really see me as a symbol of death and wisdom. Nope. They're too busy dodging predators, fighting for food, and trying to keep their chicks alive. The gap between our perception of crows and their actual daily struggle is massive. To us, they're magical. To them, life is mostly stress, hunger, and danger. So yeah, being born a crow, not exactly a winning lottery ticket. From the moment you crack out of your shell, you're in for a lifetime of struggle, judgment, and survival against the odds. And that's just the beginning. Because in the next parts, we're going to break down, in painful detail, every stage of crow life and why it is so much tougher than you think. This is the untold truth of why it sucks to be born as a crow. Part 1. Childhood is brutal. Welcome to the first stage of a crow's life, childhood. And by childhood, I mean survival hell disguised as cute fluff and chirps. When most humans think of baby birds, they imagine tiny, fluffy chicks being doted on by loving parents. That image couldn't be further from reality for crows. Hatching. The brutal beginning. Your life starts inside an egg, safely tucked away in a nest. Sounds cozy, right? Well, for a crow, that comfort lasts only as long as the egg remains unnoticed by predators. Hawks, snakes, raccoons, even large lizards sometimes make an unexpected appearance, reducing eggs to breakfast. Assuming you survive the threat of being devoured before birth, you finally crack open your shell. And congratulations, you enter the world naked, blind, deaf, and utterly defenseless. Now begins the real competition, getting fed. Sibling rivalry, the original Hunger Games crows, lay multiple eggs per clutch, usually between 3 and 7. That means as soon as you hatch, you're surrounded by siblings who are all equally hungry and just as ruthless as you. Parents feed the chicks one beakful at a time, and only the strongest, loudest, or most aggressive chicks get the majority. Some chicks develop a terrifyingly effective tactic, pushing weaker siblings aside, pecking at them, or even blocking access to food entirely. This isn't some cute Disney scene. It's life or death, every hour of the day. In some extreme cases, sibling rivalry escalates to siblicide. Yes, older or stronger chicks sometimes attack younger ones, leaving them to starve. Nature doesn't care about fairness, innocence, or emotional trauma. It only cares about survival. Parental challenges, not always reliable. Even if your siblings aren't actively trying to kill you, your parents aren't perfect providers. Crow parents forage for food tirelessly, but resources aren't infinite. They might bring back insects, worms, or stolen scraps from humans. Some days the food is abundant, other days it's nearly non-existent. And if you're unlucky enough to be the smallest or weakest chick, you might get overlooked during feeding. Hunger is your constant companion, gnawing at your body and mind. Predators, a constant threat. Now let's talk about predators. Being a baby crow is like living in a war zone with no weapons. Hawks, owls, snakes, raccoons, and even cats consider nestlings a delicacy. Nest placement can make a huge difference. Some crows hide their nests in dense trees. Others, being opportunistic urban survivors, build them on rooftops or telephone poles. High visibility may make your nest easier to defend from ground predators, but it also attracts the attention of aerial hunters. Even if you survive the first few weeks, the danger never really disappears. Every moment spent outside the nest is a gamble. Weather, nature's hidden enemy. And it's not just predators. Weather is an equally ruthless adversary. Rainstorms can drench a nest, chilling chicks to the bone. Strong winds can topple entire nests, sending fragile little bodies plummeting to the ground. Imagine being a tiny featherless creature, hungry, cold, and helpless, while the wind howls around you. Survival isn't just about fighting predators, it's about enduring the elements. Growing up fast, learning the hard way. Crows don't get the luxury of a long, carefree childhood. They have to grow fast. Within weeks, chicks develop feathers, strengthen their wings, and practice hopping around the nest. Parents start encouraging flight by nudging the chicks toward the edge of the nest. This is essentially a high-stakes game of fall or fly. Many chicks fail at first. Some hit the ground and survive, others, not so much. It's brutal, but it teaches one crucial skill: self-reliance. There's no time to waste on playdates or nap time. Life is a non-stop test of survival skills. Social learning, the dark side of intelligence. Even as chicks, crows are incredibly intelligent. They observe, remember, and imitate behaviors. If a parent finds a new food source, the chicks learn to recognize it. If a predator shows up, they learn alarm calls. But here's the catch: intelligence comes with a cost. Crows don't just live in the moment. They remember trauma. A failed jump from the nest, a sibling's aggressive peck, a near-death encounter with a hawk. All these experiences are etched into their memory. This early exposure to danger and competition shapes not just their survival skills, but also their stress levels for life. Emotional turmoil, the price of family. Believe it or not, crows have emotions. Chicks experience fear, stress, and even grief. Losing a sibling or watching a parent fail to return with food isn't just a physical threat, it's an emotional one. Young crows learn to navigate not only the dangers of the world, but also the complex dynamics of their family. They form bonds, compete, and occasionally mourn. But these early emotional experiences are harsh, often leaving permanent scars. First lessons in foraging. Eventually, the chicks start tasting real food. Insects, seeds, small fruits, and sometimes human leftovers become their first lessons in foraging. But again, survival is competitive. Siblings and parents may fight over scraps, teaching chicks the hard lesson that food is never guaranteed. Hunger drives innovation. Some crows learn to steal, hide, or hoard food. Others don't make it. It's a relentless cycle. Grow fast, learn fast, eat fast, or die. Fledging, the ultimate test. The day finally comes. Fledging. You're no longer a helpless chick in the nest. Your wings are strong enough to fly, or at least flap around desperately. But fledging is terrifying. The first flight is often awkward. One wrong jump can send a chick tumbling to the ground. Predators wait patiently below, and every movement is a life or death gamble. Even if you survive the first flight, your parents may gradually abandon you, nudging you toward independence. At this point, childhood is effectively over, but the challenges are only beginning. Reflection. Childhood was just the beginning. So let's recap. From hatching in a precarious nest to fighting siblings, avoiding predators, enduring storms, and finally learning to fly, a crow's childhood is relentless. It's a period of constant stress, danger, and rapid learning. Every day is a gamble. Every moment is survival training. And yet, humans look at a fluffy chick and see something cute, innocent, and fragile. We don't see the high-stakes, brutal education that shapes these young birds into the clever, cautious, and resilient creatures they become. For crows, childhood is not a magical time of play. It's a battlefield. And only the cleverest, strongest, or luckiest make it through. This is just the first stage of a crow's life, and already it's hard to imagine a more brutal beginning. But if you thought surviving childhood was tough, just wait until we explore the next part. Everyone hates you, where social life, reputation, and human conflict come into play.
So,
Part
you
2,
survived the
everyone
brutal
hates
gauntlet
you.
of childhood.
So you
You
survived the
fledged,
brutal
grew your
gauntlet of
wings,
childhood.
and finally got
You
a taste of
fledged,
freedom.
grew your wings,
Congratulations.
and finally got a taste of freedom. Congratulations. But don't relax just yet, because if you thought the world would welcome you with open branches, think again. In fact, everyone hates you. Humans, the worst neighbors. Let's start with humans. Crows are often labeled as pests, thieves, and troublemakers. Farmers hate them because they raid crops. City dwellers despise them for stealing trash, raiding bird feeders, or just making a ruckus at dawn. Some humans go to extreme lengths to get rid of crows, shooting, poisoning, trapping, even scaring them with loud noises or fake predators. Essentially, you spend your life dodging the people who think you're a problem. And it gets worse. Humans are unpredictable. One day you find a perfect snack by a trash can. The next, a human's foot crushes your feast, or worse, they try to chase you off. There's no mercy, only constant vigilance. Other birds, territorial warfare. But it's not just humans who hate you. Other birds aren't fans either. Crows are notorious for raiding nests and stealing eggs. So naturally, other birds don't trust you. Hawks, jays, and smaller songbirds will harass, chase, or even attack crows to protect their territory. And let's not forget the pecking order within crow communities themselves. Crows are social but hierarchical. Older, stronger, or more aggressive individuals bully younger or weaker crows. Your life in the flock is a mix of alliances, rivalries, and subtle psychological warfare. Being smart doesn't mean being safe. Sometimes intelligence just makes you a better target for envy or manipulation. Reputation matters. Crows are social animals. They communicate, recognize faces, and even hold grudges. And because they're smart, they remember who helped or harmed them. So if you've annoyed a neighbor, stolen a rival's food, or gotten in a fight, it's not just a one-time event. Word spreads. Other crows remember your misdeeds, and your social reputation suffers. A bad reputation can mean fewer allies, more fights, and harder access to resources. For a crow, being disliked is more than an ego problem, it's a survival problem. Mob mentality, when crow versus crow gets ugly, crows can form mobs. Yes, entire groups of crows will band together to harass a predator, or sometimes a single unlucky crow that's out of line. Imagine walking down the street, minding your own business, and suddenly 20 angry neighbors start dive bombing you. That's what social punishment looks like for crows. It's a constant balancing act. Be assertive enough to survive, but not so aggressive that you trigger retaliation. Urban life, crow survival 101. For urban crows, life is a maze of traffic, buildings, and human activity. Roads are death traps. Windows are invisible walls. Cars are moving predators. Every day, crows navigate a human-made obstacle course that kills thousands of birds worldwide. And yet they adapt. Crows learn traffic patterns, steal food from pedestrians, and even drop nuts on roads to crack them open. But adaptability doesn't erase the stress. Every meal is a gamble. Every flight carries risk, and every encounter with humans is a potential threat. Intelligence isn't always an advantage. Being smart seems like an advantage, right? Well, yes and no. Intelligence allows crows to recognize threats, communicate with allies, and even plan ahead. But it also means they know danger when they see it. They remember humans who've chased or harmed them. They recall encounters with predators. They anticipate threats that other birds might ignore. And that constant awareness creates stress. It's like living with a permanent danger radar that never shuts off. Being smart doesn't make life easier. It just makes suffering more complicated. The constant competition for resources. Even if you escape predators and survive human hostility, there's always competition. Food, nesting sites, and mates are limited. Older crows dominate the best territories. Younger crows are forced to scavenge in riskier areas, closer to roads or human dwellings. Fights break out over every morsel, every tree branch, every inch of safe ground. For a crow, survival is a social struggle as much as a physical one. You can't just find food. You have to defend it, negotiate it, and sometimes steal it back from your own kind. Emotional toll of social life. Crows aren't mindless creatures. They form bonds, mourn the loss of mates or siblings, and even comfort each other in times of stress. But this social complexity comes with emotional costs. Imagine growing up in a community where alliances shift constantly, enemies lurk everywhere, and trust is scarce. Every decision carries consequences, not just for survival, but for your social standing. Crows live in a world where social intelligence is mandatory, and mistakes can be deadly. To human interactions. Mixed blessings. Some humans provide opportunities. Trash bins, leftover food, and urban parks can be bounty-rich areas for a clever crow. But those same humans can turn lethal in a second. Crows learn to distinguish between friendly humans and dangerous ones. Some even teach their young to recognize safe faces in the neighborhood. But the constant threat of unpredictable humans means urban life is never truly safe. Reflection, a life of universal hostility. So by now, you've survived a brutal childhood, fledged successfully, and are navigating the adult world. And yet the truth is, no one truly likes you. Humans fear you, other birds envy or despise you, and even your own kind can turn on you. Crows live in a world of near-constant hostility where every interaction can be life-altering. Social skills are as crucial as flight skills, and reputation can mean the difference between survival and death. Being born a crow means growing up in a society that is both supportive and ruthless, a community that demands intelligence, vigilance, and cunning every single day. In the next part, we'll dive into the daily struggle for food, where intelligence meets necessity and survival becomes an endless game of strategy, risk, and relentless hunger. Because if you thought childhood and social life were tough, you haven't seen anything yet. Part 3, constant struggle for food. So, you survived childhood. You navigated the social minefield of crows and humans alike. But now comes the lifelong challenge that defines your existence, finding enough to eat. Because for a crow, food isn't just a convenience. It's a constant battlefield, a source of stress, and sometimes a deadly gamble. The reality of crow diets: crows are omnivores. That means they'll eat almost anything: seeds, fruits, insects, small animals, carrion, and of course, human leftovers. But being adaptable doesn't make life easy. Food isn't magically abundant. The cleverest crows must plan, steal, forage, and sometimes fight to survive. Hunger is a persistent force, gnawing at their small bodies day and night. Even the intelligence that gives them an edge also makes them painfully aware of scarcity. They know when a patch of food is overrun or dangerous. They remember which humans are hostile. Every meal requires strategy. Scavenging. The art of theft. Scavenging is both a blessing and a curse. Humans leave behind scraps, garbage, and discarded food, but accessing it often comes with risk. Crows have learned some impressive tricks: dropping nuts onto roads so cars crack them open, stealing food from unsuspecting humans in parks, following larger predators or even other birds to snatch leftovers. It's clever, it's resourceful, and it's exhausting. Every meal requires calculation, planning, and risk assessment. One wrong move could mean losing food, or worse, your life. Competition. Every bite counts. And here's the brutal truth: food is never just yours. Every bite is contested. Other crows, seagulls, squirrels, and even stray dogs are competitors. A crow spots a promising meal, but before it can enjoy it, another bird swoops in to steal it. Fights break out, sometimes just minor jabs, sometimes full-on aerial battles. You have to be fast, clever, and sometimes downright ruthless. Even the smallest advantage can be the difference between a full belly and starvation. Intelligence, survival or stress. Crows' intelligence helps them navigate this constant struggle. They recognize patterns, which humans are safe to approach, which roads or intersections crack nuts most efficiently, which fellow crows are friends, rivals, or opportunists. They remember successes and failures. If one route to food ends in a chase or injury, they avoid it next time. But intelligence also brings stress. Every decision carries risk, and every encounter can have consequences. Crows live in a world where food is both a prize and a trap, and their smarts make them painfully aware of this reality. Seasonal struggles. Seasonal changes make food access even more difficult. In winter, natural sources like insects and fruits vanish. Seeds are scarce, and snow covers whatever might remain. Urban environments provide some relief, but human activity can be unpredictable. A park might be teeming with leftovers one day and swept clean the next. Foraging becomes a daily exercise in persistence and observation. Even in safe environments, hunger never truly goes away. It's a relentless pressure that drives nearly every aspect of a crow's life. Stealing and raiding crows aren't above a little dishonesty. In fact, some of the smartest crows are professional thieves. They'll steal from other crows, raid nests, snatch eggs, and even take scraps directly from humans. Observing this behavior is both fascinating and a little horrifying. Imagine a tiny, feathered kleptomaniac, perfectly aware of when and how to get what it wants. These crimes are survival strategies, not moral choices. Hunger drives cunning behavior, and crows are nothing if not clever. Innovation, using tools for food. One of the most impressive aspects of crow survival is tool use. Some crows craft hooks to extract insects, drop objects to crack nuts, or even manipulate their environment in ingenious ways. Tool use gives crows a massive advantage, but it also highlights the difficulty of their lives. These birds expend energy, thought, and practice just to eat. Intelligence may save them, but it doesn't eliminate the struggle. Urban hazards. Urban life provides food, but also danger. Roads, power lines, and human activity make scavenging risky. Roads can provide cracked nuts or spilled food, but also moving vehicles that can kill instantly. Electrical wires are convenient perches, but one misstep can end a life. Humans are unpredictable. Sometimes they leave food, other times they chase crows away or attack them. Every day is a balancing act. Take the risk, reap the reward, or go hungry. Social foraging. Learning from others. Crows often forage in groups, and this social behavior helps reduce risk. They learn from each other, watch for danger, and even share knowledge of food sources. But group living isn't perfect. Competition still exists. Sharing is selective, and clever crows can exploit others. Hierarchy, alliances, and cunning all play roles in daily feeding. Even in a group, hunger drives rivalry and stress. Food is never guaranteed, and every choice matters. The emotional toll of hunger. Hunger isn't just physical, it's psychological. Crows remember past struggles and failed hunts. They anticipate scarcity and feel stress when food is limited. Young crows learn quickly. Stealing, hoarding, and strategic planning are not optional. They're survival necessities. Being hungry shapes the crow's life in profound ways. It affects social interactions, risk-taking behavior, and even long-term survival strategies. Reflection. Survival is a daily game. So what does this all mean? Life for a crow is a constant struggle. Even with intelligence, adaptability, and social bonds, every meal is a challenge. The daily search for food defines their existence. Hunger drives innovation, cunning, and competition. It shapes behavior, relationships, and even stress levels. For a crow, survival is never passive. Every decision, every flight, every interaction can determine whether it lives or dies. In the next part, we'll explore the stress of being smart, where intelligence, memory, and social awareness make life even more complicated. Because if you thought hunger was tough, wait until you see the mental burden of being a bird that never forgets, never stops calculating, and never truly relaxes. Part 4, the stress of being smart. Crows are among the smartest animals on Earth. They use tools, solve puzzles, and even remember human faces. Their intelligence is often celebrated in documentaries and viral videos. But here's the darker truth. Being smart can suck. For crows, intelligence is not just an advantage, it's also a burden. Awareness means stress, memory means trauma, and complex social lives mean constant mental juggling. Memory, a blessing and a curse. Crows have incredible memories. They can remember the faces of humans who treated them well or harmed them for years. They remember food caches, safe routes, and dangerous predators. But memory comes at a cost. Imagine recalling every close call with a hawk, every sibling fight, every time you starved. Crows don't forget, and that constant awareness builds a lifelong stress. Humans romanticize memory as wisdom. For crows, it's more like a never-ending replay of survival horror. Hypervigilance. Because of their awareness, crows live in a state of hypervigilance. Their minds are always scanning for threats, humans, predators, rivals. Even when feeding, crows constantly pause to look around. Wings half lifted, eyes sharp. They rarely get to relax because they know danger is never far. Intelligence means anticipating threats before they happen. But anticipation also means constant anxiety. Problem solving isn't fun, it's survival. We humans watch crows solve puzzles and think, wow, that's amazing. But for crows, puzzle solving isn't a hobby, it's survival. Using sticks to dig out insects, dropping nuts onto traffic, or manipulating trash lids. These aren't games. They're desperate innovations to avoid starvation. Every act of creativity is driven by necessity, not curiosity. Hunger and danger push crows to think harder, faster and smarter than most animals. And that relentless pressure never goes away. Emotional intelligence crows aren't just smart, they're emotionally intelligent. They comfort distressed companions, mourn their dead, and recognize when others are in pain. But empathy is another burden. Grieving for a lost mate, mourning a sibling killed by a predator, or remembering trauma, it all adds to the emotional load. Most animals move on quickly. Crows don't. They linger, they remember, and they sometimes even hold rituals for their dead. Intelligence makes their emotional world deeper, but also darker. Social calculations, living in crow society requires constant strategy. You must recognize allies, avoid rivals, and remember debts. You have to know who can be trusted and who will stab you in the back, sometimes literally in the form of stolen food. This means every crow lives with a constant mental ledger. That crow helped me yesterday. That one stole from me last week. That human feeds us, but the other human throws rocks. It's exhausting. Social intelligence ensures survival, but it also guarantees constant mental work. There's no autopilot. Trauma that lingers. Crows not only experience trauma, they carry it. A crow chased by a hawk may remain skittish for life. One that watches its sibling die might avoid similar risks forever. This isn't just instinct, it's memory. Trauma changes behavior permanently, shaping the bird's personality. And unlike animals that forget danger after a few minutes, crows can replay it endlessly. Their intelligence makes them survivors, but it also makes them prisoners of memory. Humans make it worse. Humans play a big role in the mental stress of crows. Some people feed them, creating bonds. Others chase them, shoot them, or destroy their nests. And here's the kicker. Crows teach each other about dangerous humans. If one crow identifies you as a threat, it can pass that knowledge on to its flock. That means your reputation can outlive a single encounter. So not only do crows remember, you live rent-free in their heads for years, maybe decades. No escape from thinking ignorance can be bliss. A pigeon can peck crumbs in a parking lot without worrying about the future. A squirrel forgets where it buried half its nuts, but a crow, never. Every decision is calculated. Every action is analyzed. Their intelligence keeps them alive, but it also keeps them anxious. There's no turning off the brain, no peaceful moment of ignorance. For a crow, survival is thinking, and thinking is exhausting. The cost of awareness. So let's sum it up. Intelligence gives crows amazing abilities: tool use, memory, problem solving, social complexity. But it also brings fear, anxiety, trauma, and stress. Crows live in a world of constant calculation. Every choice is weighed, every danger remembered, every interaction judged. It's the curse of being smart. You can survive longer, but you suffer more deeply. In the next part, we'll see how nature is ruthless. Because even with intelligence and adaptability, the natural world throws predators, disease, and accidents at crows daily. If being smart is already stressful, surviving nature's indifference makes it even worse. Part 5. Nature is ruthless. Being smart helps crows survive, but nature doesn't care about your IQ. It doesn't matter if you can solve puzzles, recognize faces, or plan for the future, because out in the wild, nature plays dirty, and the rules are simple: eat or be eaten. Predators everywhere. Crows are not at the top of the food chain. In fact, they're on a lot of menus. Hawks, owls, eagles, and falcons all see crows as a meal. Even raccoons, foxes, and snakes go after their eggs and chicks. Crows are incredibly vigilant, but ambush predators like owls strike silently. A crow can be perched on a branch 1 second and in the talons of an owl the next. And if you're a baby crow, forget it. Your chances of making it to adulthood are slim. Predators wipe out entire nests before the chicks even get a chance to fly. The nest is never safe. Imagine being born high in a tree. You're featherless, blind, and helpless. Your parents do everything to protect you. But then one night, a snake slithers up the trunk. Your parents scream, dive, and fight. But against a hungry snake, they're often powerless. One by one, your siblings vanish down the predator's throat. You either get eaten or you're the lucky survivor, traumatized for life. That's nature, brutal, indifferent, and merciless. Disease and parasites, even if predators don't get you, disease might. Crows are highly social, and living in large groups means parasites spread fast. Lice, mites, and worms constantly sap their energy. Then there's West Nile virus, which wiped out huge populations of crows in North America. In some areas, over half of the crow population was killed in just a few years. Imagine being smart enough to recognize danger, yet powerless against a microscopic killer. For a crow, the fight isn't just against visible enemies. It's against invisible ones too. Weather, the silent killer. Nature isn't just predators and disease. It's the weather itself. Crows endure storms, snow, blistering heat, and freezing nights. A sudden blizzard can kill thousands of birds overnight. A heat wave can leave them dehydrated and weak. And unlike us, they can't turn on air conditioning, build a shelter, or store food in a fridge. Every extreme shift in weather is a gamble between life and death. Humans, the unnatural predator. And then there's us, humans. Cars, power lines, glass windows. Our world is full of hazards. Millions of birds die every year in collisions, and crows are no exception. You'd think being smart would help avoid cars, but intelligence doesn't guarantee survival against the randomness of traffic. One wrong calculation, one mistimed flight, and it's game over. Add to that poison, hunting, and habitat destruction, and humans have become one of the most ruthless forces of nature that crows face. Short lives, high risk. Here's the grim math. Most crows don't even make it past their first year. Of those who survive, many only live a few more before predators, disease, or accidents take them. Only a fraction ever live long enough to become the wise old birds we see in parks and cities. For everyone that makes it, countless others vanish, forgotten victims of nature's ruthless lottery. Survival is the only goal. Nature doesn't reward intelligence with peace. It doesn't care about fairness, or hard work, or loyalty. It only cares about survival. Crows adapt, fight, and endure. But still, nature always wins eventually. No matter how clever they are, every crow faces the same ending. That's the ultimate cruelty. You can outsmart rivals, dodge predators, and adapt to cities. Yet in the end, the wild claims you anyway. And if predators, disease, and weather weren't enough, crows also have to deal with the daily hostility of other birds. In the next part, we'll explore how even in the skies, no respect from other birds makes life harder than you'd think. Part 6. No respect from other birds. You'd think being one of the smartest birds in the animal kingdom would earn you respect. But in the bird world, respect isn't given. It's stolen, fought for, and often denied. And if you're a crow, you quickly learn this painful truth. Other birds hate you. Mobbing. Everyone gangs up on you. Few animals experience mob justice like crows. Whenever a crow is spotted near another bird's nest, it gets swarmed. Blue jays, blackbirds, grackles, gulls, even tiny songbirds, species that normally wouldn't agree on anything, suddenly unite with one mission: attack the crow. They scream, dive bomb, and peck until the crow gives up and flies away. Sometimes even hawks get mobbed, but crows, they're public enemy number one. Why? Because crows have a reputation: egg thief, chick snatcher, nest raider. Even when a crow is just passing through, paranoia drives other birds to launch a preemptive strike. Outnumbered and outshouted. It doesn't matter that crows are bigger and stronger. When dozens of furious smaller birds attack at once, the crow doesn't stand a chance. Picture being chased by an angry mob that never stops screaming in your ear. It's humiliating, stressful, and relentless. And the worst part? The mob often keeps harassing long after the crow leaves, just to rub it in. It's not just about survival, it's about dominance. Battles with raptors. Ironically, crows dish out the same treatment to hawks and owls. If a hawk so much as looks at a crow the wrong way, a whole murder of crows will gather to mob it until it flees. But here's the twist. This habit makes crows hated even more. Smaller birds often join the mob, but once the hawk leaves, those same little allies turn right back around and attack the crows. It's like joining forces with your enemy to fight a bigger enemy, then immediately backstabbing each other. No friends in the bird world. Crows live in tight-knit family groups, but outside those circles, they have no friends. Seagulls chase them off beaches. Owls kill them on sight. Eagles snatch them mid-air. Even tiny sparrows sometimes harass them. In the avian hierarchy, crows are loners. Too smart to be trusted, too aggressive to be liked, too opportunistic to be forgiven. For every other bird, the motto is simple: better to attack a crow first than risk being attacked later. The egg thief stigma. The biggest reason for all this hostility is reputation. Crows do raid nests, they do steal eggs and chicks, and birds don't forget. Even species that rarely encounter crows instinctively see them as a threat. It's like being born with a criminal record you can't erase. No matter how harmless your intentions, everyone assumes you're guilty. So every crow carries the stigma of being an egg thief, whether or not it's ever stolen a single egg. Stress of constant harassment. For crows, this hatred translates into daily stress. You can't land in a new area without being attacked. You can't perch near a forest without being mobbed. Even when you're just looking for scraps, you're constantly on guard. It's exhausting to always be the villain in someone else's story. And for crows, that villain label never goes away. Fights within their own kind. And as if harassment from other species wasn't enough, crows also fight each other. Territorial battles can get violent, with crows clawing, pecking, and even killing rivals. Young crows trying to find a place in the world are often attacked by established groups who see them as intruders. So not only do crows have to fend off attacks from strangers, they also have to survive betrayal from their own kind. No rest, no respect. At the end of the day, crows live in a constant state of conflict. They're mobbed by smaller birds, attacked by predators, distrusted by everyone, and even harassed by other crows. No matter how smart they are, no matter how adaptable, they get no respect in the bird world. And that constant hostility chips away at whatever peace their intelligence might offer. But if you thought being hated by other birds was bad, wait until you see what humans do with that hatred. In the next part, we'll explore how even the smartest bird can't escape exploitation because humans study them, trick them, and sometimes kill them. Part 7.
Wow.
Even humans exploit you.
Yes.
Crows are brilliant. They can solve puzzles, use tools, and even recognize human faces. But intelligence comes with a price. Because when humans see intelligence in an animal, Two things usually happen. We either exploit it or we fear it. And for crows, both are true. Lab rats with feathers. For decades, scientists have used crows as test subjects. Why? Because they're one of the few animals smart enough to tackle human-designed problems. They're given puzzles, mazes, and food challenges. Researchers measure how long it takes them to figure things out, how well they remember solutions, and how creative they get. On the surface, this might look harmless. After all, no one's shocking them or cutting them open. But imagine being a crow, stuck in an artificial environment, forced to perform tasks you never asked for, with every move analyzed. Your life becomes an endless experiment. Your intelligence, the thing that should be your advantage, turns you into someone else's tool. The mask experiment. One of the most famous studies showed just how much humans exploit crow intelligence. Scientists wore creepy rubber masks while capturing and banding crows. Later, when people wore those same masks, even years afterward, crows instantly recognized them and launched furious attacks. This proved crows not only remember human faces, but also teach their children who the enemies are. It's an incredible discovery for us. But for the crows, it means generations carry trauma because of one scientist's experiment. Gapland urban tricksters versus human tricksters. Crows are masters of adapting to human cities. They learn traffic patterns, use cars to crack nuts, and even follow garbage trucks for free food. But humans catch on too. People set traps, poison bait, or lay out fake food to get rid of them. And since crows learn quickly, this turns into a constant arms race. Humans try to outsmart crows, crows try to outsmart humans. The crow rarely wins in the long run because humans have the ultimate advantage: control of the environment. Hunting and persecution. For centuries, crows have been persecuted by humans. Farmers shoot them for raiding crops. Hunters kill them for sport. Some people just see them as pests to be exterminated. In some regions, crow shoots are organized, where hundreds are killed in a single day. No matter how clever they are, no matter how vital they are to ecosystems, they're still treated as disposable. And because they gather in large numbers, one act of violence can wipe out entire families. Intelligence equals stress. Ironically, the very thing that makes crows fascinating, their intelligence, also makes their suffering worse. They don't just forget trauma. They remember faces, places, and dangers for years. So when humans exploit them, whether through experiments, hunting, or harassment, it's not just a one-time event. It echoes in their memory, shaping behavior for generations. Imagine carrying the memory of your friend being shot, or recognizing the human who captured you years ago. That's the burden of being a crow in a human-dominated world. Living in our shadow, crows thrive in cities, but it's not because they love us. It's because they've been forced to adapt to us. They raid our trash, follow our roads, and perch on our buildings. Every advantage they find comes with a cost. Risk of poisoning, risk of cars, risk of harassment. Living near humans is a gamble. You might find easy food, or you might find death. And yet, with their intelligence, they have no choice but to keep playing that game. Guess the unfair balance. When you think about it, crows never had a chance. Their intelligence made them fascinating to us, which made them targets. Their adaptability brought them into our cities, which made them enemies. Every time they show brilliance, humans respond with control, exploitation, or violence. It's a tragic paradox. The smarter they are, the more they suffer at our hands. And yet, this daily struggle with humans is only one part of their suffering, because beyond experiments, beyond exploitation, beyond hatred, crows still face the ultimate challenge, the relentless grind of survival itself. In the next part, we'll explore how the daily battle to simply live, weather, hunger, exhaustion, makes every crow's life a brutal test. Part 8, the harsh reality of survival. Being born a crow doesn't just mean surviving other birds or dodging humans. It means surviving the planet itself. Every day is a gamble against hunger, weather, predators, and exhaustion. And unlike us, crows don't get days off. Winter, the silent killer. Winter is the great equalizer. For humans, cold weather means coats, heaters, and warm food. For crows, it means endless searching for scraps just to avoid starving. In freezing temperatures, their bodies burn calories faster just to stay warm. But food is scarce. Frozen soil locks away insects and worms. Snow buries leftovers. Seeds vanish. So crows gather in huge roosts, sometimes thousands strong, not because they want company, but because huddling together is the only way to survive the cold. But even then, many don't make it. Every winter storm claims lives. The weak, the old, the unlucky, they just don't wake up. Rain and storms rain might seem harmless, but to a crow it can be deadly. Wet feathers lose insulation. A soaked crow shivers, burns energy, and risks hypothermia. During storms, they must find shelter quickly, or risk being battered by wind and rain. And when hurricanes or typhoons hit, entire roosts can be wiped out overnight. For all their intelligence, crows can't control the weather. They just endure it over and over again. Hunger, the constant battle. If one word defines a crow's life, it's hunger. From dawn to dusk, survival is one endless search for food. Every day is a question. Will you find enough? Miss a day of eating, and weakness sets in. Miss two, and you might not make it. For nestlings, even one missed meal can be fatal. Unlike predators who feast on one big kill, crows must scrape by on small wins. A bug here, a seed there, a leftover fry in a parking lot. Every calorie counts. Every crumb matters. Predators, always watching. As if hunger and weather weren't enough, predators are always lurking. Owls snatch crows in the dead of night. Hawks dive from above in broad daylight. Eagles grab them mid-air. Even mammals join the list. Foxes, raccoons, cats, and even humans. Crows may be clever, but they're not invincible. All it takes is one mistake, one moment of distraction, and they become a meal for something else. Nesting nightmares. Raising young as a crow is brutally difficult. Parents build nests high in trees, carefully weaving sticks and lining them with softer material. But no matter how well hidden, nests are vulnerable. Squirrels raid them, snakes slither in. Other birds, hawks, owls, even rival crows, tear them apart. A single predator can wipe out an entire brood in minutes, and for the parents, all that effort is gone, leaving them to start again or accept the loss. For crow chicks, childhood is a race against time. Grow fast enough to fly or die trying. The burden of awareness. Unlike many animals, crows don't just react to the world, they think about it. They remember dangerous places. They learn which areas have food. They teach their young what to fear. But this intelligence comes with a price. They're aware of the dangers stacked against them. They anticipate threats, worry about predators, and change behavior out of fear. It's survival, yes, but it's also stress. Every day, every moment, they live in a state of high alert. Short lives, harsh ends. In captivity, crows can live over 20 years, but in the wild, most never come close. Predators, disease, starvation, and accidents keep the average crow's lifespan closer to 7 or 8 years. Many die long before that. For every clever puzzle solved, every scrap of food found, every winter endured, there are countless crows that never make it past their first year. Life for a crow is rarely long, and it's never easy. No escape. But even after enduring predators, hunger, weather, and death, there's still one more thing that defines the tragedy of being a crow. Their intelligence itself. Because sometimes being too smart only makes the suffering sharper. This is the harsh truth. Crows live on the edge. Cold kills. Hunger gnaws. Predators stalk. Even intelligence, normally a blessing, becomes another weight to carry. For humans, survival is background noise. For crows, it's the only song that ever plays. Every day is work. Every night is risk. Every moment is survival. And that, more than anything, is why it sucks to be born as a crow. We've walked through the life of a crow, and by now, one truth is painfully clear. Being born a crow is not a gift. It's a burden. A life defined by struggle. From the moment they hatch, crows are thrown into a world of hardship. They face predators from every direction, Hawks above, snakes below, humans everywhere in between. They battle hunger every single day, scraping together calories to stay alive. They endure brutal winters, storms, and weather they cannot escape. And even their intelligence, their greatest gift, becomes a curse. Because awareness brings anxiety, memory brings trauma, and cleverness attracts exploitation. For all their brilliance, for all their adaptability, life as a crow is still an endless uphill battle. What we see versus what they live. Most people never stop to think about it. We see crows perched on wires, pecking at trash, flying overhead. We hear their caws and dismiss them as noise. We call them pests, nuisances, omens. But behind those black feathers is a creature living a life so intense, so unforgiving, that we would break under the weight of it. Every crow you've ever seen is a survivor of storms, hunger, predators, and human cruelty. They don't just exist, they endure. And yet, despite all this suffering, crows play a vital role in our world. They clean up carrion, preventing disease. They spread seeds, helping forests grow. They balance ecosystems by hunting pests. They are nature's recyclers, guardians of balance, living proof that intelligence and resilience can emerge in even the harshest conditions. So when humans mock them, poison them, or treat them as worthless, what we're really doing is disrespecting one of nature's most important survivors. At the end of the day, why does it suck to be a crow? Because you live every moment in survival mode. Because no matter how clever you are, you're still at the mercy of weather, predators, and human cruelty. Because your brilliance is not celebrated, it's punished. And because the world you were born into never gives you peace. A crow's life is short, dangerous, and exhausting. And yet they endure it with strength, with intelligence, with resilience we can hardly comprehend. So what do we take from this? First, respect. Crows are not pests, they are survivors. Every time you see one, you're looking at a story of resilience written in feathers. Second, awareness. The way we treat crows reflects the way we treat nature as a whole. If we dismiss or destroy what we don't understand, we end up damaging the very ecosystems we depend on. And third, compassion. No one chooses to be born a crow. No one chooses a life of struggle, but they live it anyway, and in that struggle, there's a lesson about persistence, intelligence, and survival. The next time you see a crow, don't just see black feathers and hear harsh caws. See the survivor. See the fighter. See the creature carrying the weight of existence every single day. And remember, it sucks to be born a crow. But maybe, just maybe, it doesn't have to. Support conservation, protect habitats, spread awareness. Because the least we can do is give these brilliant birds the dignity they deserve.